opening remarks. I have an update on COVID. Right now it's the Omicron variant. It's currently responsible for a majority of the COVID-19 cases that are out there in the United States. This does spread more easily, causes less severe illness and death in general, but it does cause reinfection. Symptoms are similar to the previous variants that we've all experienced. There is a new booster coming soon with new formulations that are intended to increase the protection against the current circulating strain. I have posted the county's COVID-19 update on the town's website. If you go to the bottom of the home page there, it's under important notices. There's some good information there regarding the COVID-19, the latest variant, and some other information. So, we don't have any public hearings tonight. We don't have any presentations. So we'll head directly into committee reports. Airport first. Last meeting was on September 7th. The minutes aren't completed yet, but a few notes from the meeting. August fuel sales were 4,713 gallons. The committee did receive an update on the work going on the Beacon Tower. That's the historical tower that we obtained from International Paper and that will be used as a town landmark at the airport. The construction plan to the FAA that was submitted has going to be resubmitted because the FAA has, of course, changed their submission procedure to a new online reporting tool. So we will resubmit that. As far as work on the taxiway and the apron, that work will begin in spring of 2023. And the next meeting is October 4th. And with that, buildings and grounds, Joyce.
Dave, do you have anything?
Yeah, well, the curtain's up at the, excuse me, the curtain is up at the Armory, except the electric has to be done yet. We had to put a new roof on the recycle building at the Agricultural landfill, and we have to put a new door in. The door is completely gone. And we fixed a couple of passage sets on the 88 building. Somebody called me and had me do that. That's all I got. He put the other one on today.
You were going to mention cameras or no? You were going to mention cameras or no? Cameras, no. Okay, so first of all, if you may have noticed that this building looks like it needs a little bit of cleaning on the exterior. And during the meeting, it was mentioned that a representative of the State Historical Preservation Office could be available to take a look at this building and give us some advice regarding the cleaning of the exterior and also replacing the windows. And his office has already made a site visit to the Hancock House to make suggestions for them. So I hope we can get that going here. The car show, it was well attended, and the entrance to the park went smoothly. There were some problems when some cars left early using the upper walkway to depart. This needs to be discussed with the organizers of that event. The helicopter ride was extremely popular, and there were no problems with that. There was always a line. Matters needing resolution. The staining of the Robert Rogers statue building needs to be completed, and the interior needs to be lighted, lightened to make the statue more visible. National Grid is offering some volunteer time this month. I think it's one day, or maybe it's only a half a day, but the plan is to have them do the work on that building. It also needs to be moved to the east. It's over too far near the Daylight Street. So far, nothing has been heard from Clayton Menser regarding the statue. The proposed marine statue was to go into a Veterans Park. Cigarette litter, this is something that's bugging me, I guess. There's an excessive amount of cigarette butts being found in the gutter and storm drains on the main street. And it appears to be employees of nearby businesses. I've located one spare receptacle to put your butts in, and I had it placed on the sidewalk near the problem area. It seems to be a little better, but I'm planning to put some more cigarette receptacles on other parts of Main Street. Dog waste, another problem. Periodically it's brought up and people are very irate that people are not cleaning up after their dogs. New signs that are going up telling people that Bicentennial Park is a dog-free park. They'll be at all the entrances to that park. However, you can walk your dog on over the rest of our parkland. And I will be ordering some dog waste stations, which means they will dispense the plastic bags, and they'll be put along the Lachute Trail area. Pickleball court, we now have permanent nets in one of the courts. There were 3 tennis courts, now one of them is a pickleball court. And the nice thing about pickleball, whereas one game could take place on the tennis court, 2 games could take place on the pickleball courts because they use half of the tennis court. And the center court has also been used for pickleball, so people can play there if they have temporary nets. And I've ordered some new signage there. Beach problems. We've had problems with after hours use, and fencing has been knocked down, litter and broken bottles are found on the ground, signs removed, and there have been bonfires on the beach. We need some kind of security device there, and hopefully we'll get that taken care of. The basketball courts, we received a complaint that the lights are a little bright and they're staying on really long. And the lights were approved under the Eagle Scout project. I think maybe Tanya, were you able to go down and take, okay, so that's been resolved? Because there were timers on there and apparently they weren't working. Vandalism, there's been an uptick in the public areas on Montcalm Street. Garbage cans and tables have been damaged or thrown into the chute. And it is hoped that additional security will solve the problem and lead to apprehension of the people who are doing that. You might also know that there's been a problem with camping on public lands, and we've had a lot of complaints from the public that there's tent camps set up, especially on the upper portion of the Lachute Trail. And these citizens are concerned about their safety walking the trails. And the town board is trying to address this issue and determine how we can deter this camping. Because these camps have no restroom facilities, it appears to be a public health issue that could be remedied by an appropriate public health law. I'm going to skip this next one, that's more our problem. Library sale at the community building. This, I'm talking about the sale that goes out over there in the lobby area over here. This sale has been going on in this building for 16 years. Its location in this building presents security issues and allows public access to sensitive town equipment, which is housed over in this area. Employee and public safety is certainly a big issue. Supervisor Wright has suggested that the town undertake a security evaluation of the building by an outside organization before we make any decisions or recommendations. And the Parks and Rec Committee proposes that the town board take appropriate steps to help us. Upper Lachute Trail improvements. If you walk the trail, you probably know it doesn't go all the way up to the Trestle Bridge. With the cooperation of Pride in the county, a contract to extend and complete the trail to the Trestle Bridge has been issued. However, no work has been scheduled yet, and I hope that will take place in the near future.
That contract's at the state right now, so
Oh,
we're
is that-
waiting for it.
Okay, that's progress. And our next Park and Rec meeting will be the third Tuesday, which is September 20th. Oh, we do have a resolution.
Yeah.
So how does this work for this?
So we have a resolution to rescind a resignation here, but it has to be moved by the person who originally moved the prior and seconded, and that would be a move by Dave and a second by Tom.
Okay, I'll move it.
I want to read it first.
Okay, resolution to rescind resignation of Mackenzie Strum, resolution number 285-2022, and I'll move that. Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
I just wanted to say that Mackenzie is taking a job at the high school where she's librarian for the school district now, but she is willing to come back to the library and do children's workshops in particular. And she did an outstanding job this summer, so the library would love to have her back. on a short-term basis.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Carried. Anything else?
I mean,
No?
On this resolution, just a question. Was she a full-time employee before?
No.
She's part-
Part-time.
Part-time. So she's going back to original part-time position, so we don't need to do a resolution to change her pay or any of that kind of stuff?
No.
Okay.
and she only worked Fridays and Saturdays, so.
Okay, Economic Development, meeting, the committee met on August 17th, minutes are attached. Briefly, we had some discussions on business incentive sheet that Chamber of Commerce is working, looking at things like micro-grant programs, fees, possible advertising discounts for new businesses during the business's first year, discount rent rates, and other incentives that can help development within the town. The group is also looking to investigate potential shuttle services, which are kind of direly needed. We don't have any way to get people from the airport or from the train station or from the boat, steamboat dock or anything like that. So that is an ongoing investigation. Next meeting is September 14th, and I don't have any resolutions for the board. So with that, we'll move to highway transportation.
Okay, we met on August 30th. Joyce was present, and she asked if we look into getting a parking signs on Lower Champlain Avenue from Father Joe's to the one-way. It's hard to fit vehicles through there when they park on both sides of the street. Also, you cannot see coming off the one-way street. The committee, Sal said he's paving. We are paving, keeping the paver until September 11th, but he just extended it another week today because he didn't get it all done. The concrete company, we were having trouble getting concrete for the sidewalks because of lack of drivers from Prairie. And they poured yesterday, they stripped and they're forming and they'll pour tomorrow. And then from there, we'll go to Wicker Street. And the repairs on the sidewalk will start right after Labor Day, probably next week. Sal also stated getting paving supplies is a big issue, so it's slowing all of his processes down. He's ordered blacktop tonnage, and he's getting just half of what he ordered. So he's in kind of a pickle there. And we got to talk about getting the new paver. He wants to get a new paver, and we'll bring that up in a little while. The public parking lot behind the old Newberry building looks good. Discussion on St. Clair and Grove Street was had. We talked about how to get easements to be able to begin work. Discussion on the pipes we need to lay and best direction to lay them to get enough drainage. Heath asked, do we know when the sidewalk at the Portage and Alexandria Avenue will be open? Can we look into legally putting a crosswalk by the walking paths to the other side of Lake George Avenue? Sal is looking into those two items. That's all I have.
Okay. Regarding the paver, so the highway department would like to purchase a paver with funds coming from the DA fund balance. However, the town still needs to follow its procurement policy. So for the purchasing of any commodity or service that's over $20,000, you have to conduct a formal competitive bid. Unless you purchase the commodity under the state contract, which is the route that we're taking here. You still need, even under the state contract, you have to get 3 written quotes for before you go out and buy. So what I'd like to do now is to put a resolution on the floor that basically will approve the purchase on condition of getting 3 written quotes and a purchase request. The only thing I would add is that obtaining our own paver does, rather than renting, does vastly improve our efficiency and our capability to pave at our own schedule, our own rate. We don't have to pay rental of a paver and then wait days when it's raining. We can pave when we want. So the resolution that I will put onto the floor here is resolution authorizing the purchase of an asphalt paver for the highway department at a cost not to exceed $235,000, conditional on obtaining 3 written quotes and presenting them with a purchase request request to the budget office and gave the exact language there.
You move it? Did
No,
you?
I did
I'll
not.
I'll move it.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, is there any discussion on this?
Did you say 285,000?
235,000, not to exceed.
235.
Yes. Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
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 None opposed? Carried. All right, and, sound level, that's where we are. He was, I believe, going out today looking for additional quotes.
Yeah.
So
I'll call him after.
we will need that in a purchase, we're back together. Purchase proposal. So that's with highway, municipal facility evaluation.
Well, we didn't have a meeting at the end of last month, so we didn't have minutes to win here. We did have a meeting yesterday evening, so just a quick update on that. We did get an evaluation on the highway department building that we've just received and is under review, and we discussed next steps in regards to what needs to be done to continue on with the police department location and things. But those minutes will be out and ready for the next board meeting, and we will have another meeting at the regular scheduled time on this month, which to confirm that it is going to be the fourth Monday of the month, not the last Monday of the month, at 6:30.
What date is that?
Last Monday of the month. Sorry, fourth Monday of the month. Fourth Monday of the month.
The 22nd, or Monday, the 19th. 19th is, no, 26th is the fourth month.
26th is the fourth Monday. Yeah. Yes. Fourth Monday of the month at 6:30, 18:30.
Because sometimes there is a fifth Monday though.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Public safety?
Okay, again, we met the same day on August 30th. Henry Bartlett from Eagle Lake is asking to have a parabolic mirror put on the opposite side where Harris Road Point meets Route 74. I am having Sal look into that, and he's seeing if he can, who it has to do with the county or state, or we can do it. Supervisor Wright states a resident has brought to his attention that there's a rope hanging off the Alexandria Bridge that the kids are now using to swing off the bridge. Chief Hobart says he will go look at it today. And Supervisor Wright would also like to bring to the committee's attention that when the Causeway project starts this fall on Eagle Lake, that there are 3 light poles that might be going away, and that they are needed for the safety for visibility. The discussion is going on right now regarding them. Mark Netto came with a question regarding an old complaint, and the question was answered. Chief Hobart was over the monthly report, which I'll read in a minute. And Chief Hobart also asked if he would like permission to advertise for a full-time and part-time officer, and would request a second sergeant position. That will be also brought up in our budget meetings when we go over that. Code Department and Rhiannon went over a monthly report, which the PD approximately they had 507 calls to service, incident reports 35, arrests 23, uniform traffic tickets 102, DWIs 1, accidents investigated 10. Speed trailer is currently on Warner Hill. Arrests were made at 2 juveniles in regards to the graffiti down behind Montcalm Street. On July 27th, 2022, officers were involved in a pursuit that initiated on the New York State Route 9 and ended in the wooded area off from Pearl Street. Officers arrested Brian D. Barnett as a result. Barnett was charged with DWI, unlawful fleeing, resisting arrest, reckless driving, and other VTL violations. On August 9th, 2022, Timothy Welch, a 37-year-old Ticonderoga resident, was arrested and charged with criminal contempt to first, aggravated family offense, reckless endangerment, and harassment second. These charges stem from a police investigation into domestic dispute that initiated at 64 The Portage. The codes department had building permits issued 11, safety inspections none, and they had 3 orders to remedy and 1 appearance ticket for garbage, overgrown grass, and junk car violation. And that's all we had. But now we get the Thai EMS is here. We're going
Yeah, so,
to bring up.
so we're in budget season now, obviously. We're looking at what IEMS needs to have for the upcoming year. I will say that there's been discussion that IEMS would like to form a district, EMS district. That's a process similar to what a fire district is, but not quite the same. An EMS district is would have to be a decision by the board. If the town wants to do something like that, it would go up a referendum. The voters would have to vote that in or not vote that in. Right now, this fiscal year, we gave Thai EMS about $70,000. So this the 30 that they had traditionally received, plus an additional 40 to get them through this year's budget cycle. Next year, preliminary numbers have looked at like $300,000 without a district. There is no time right now, at this point in the year, to get a district formed, if that was the decision of the board, before you got to the new fiscal year. There's just not enough time to get that swung. I don't know if any of the board members have questions or comments. That we do have Thai EMS here. I don't know if they had an input, if they wanted to say something.
Yeah, I think if you got.
Is there something that you want to present to the board?
I did send the budget out. I don't know if everybody got it. Just an overview of basically why we're coming up with the numbers that we're coming up with. Just to fill you guys in a little bit. 2021, we did 100 transports, which brought us in about $100,000, which held us over pretty well. This year we've only done 15 transports. This is due to the hospital having their own ambulance and putting staff on to do their own transports to make up revenue. And Lamoille being also the primary agency to do transports.
Don't mean to interrupt, but when did the hospital get their own ambulance?
They've had it, but it's just probably about 2 months ago, they put staff on where they're constantly going.
And are they doing calls as well?
No.
No, simply just transport?
Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
that's kind of where our transports went out the door. In the beginning of the year, we did for the first 3 months, I think we did 15 altogether, which is not gonna make up, what we missed. I know the numbers are alarming, but EMS is hurting everywhere. You guys see it on the news. I know 2023 is coming fast, and it's going to be a struggle to make ends meet due to supplies, insurance, heating costs, electricity. That's just naming a few. It's recruiting and retaining EMS personnel has been very difficult. We're not getting any new members that are staying. We're not getting any new members, but junior members right now, which can't take EMT classes or anything. We've gotten several emails from our suppliers and our insurance companies that we're looking at approximately 9% increase on everything between medical supplies, insurance for the building, insurance for the ambulances, definitely for workers' comp. I think we're gonna be well over like $35,000 just for insurance for everything. And we have no control over that. We're at this cheapest place we go because we get it from the county, which gets it from the state, so it's.
Well, that's for our volunteers.
Yeah, and then we have to pay workers' comp for our paid employees as well. So at this present time, right now, we're about $65,000 short from billing lack of transports that we haven't done. Just to give an outlook, right now, we're at 486 calls for service since the end of September 8th, yesterday, or September 7th. 140 of those calls we cannot bill for. So that's about 25%
Cannot bill for?
cannot bill for. And if I can go over what those calls are for, if you
And
want.
just like a quick preview of what you can't bill for,
Yeah.
because, I mean,
Okay.
if you were paid for ambulance service, I think you'd bill for everything, right? Or not go?
Okay,
No?
lift assist, we're not billing for. That's where somebody just needs help getting from a chair to the bed in the middle of the night. It's usually the elderly people.
Is that a choice?
That's our choice not to do that. We feel it's
that's
community
community
service.
service to
We may, if we did bill, get
$50.
$50 if the insurance would
Would
pay.
that be, okay, I was gonna ask that, if that would be an insurable type.
If the insurance would even pay for it. The next thing is a huge, huge issue, as everybody knows, overdoses. Once they are given Narcan prior to our arrival, if they are alert, oriented, and they know where they are, they do not have to go to the hospital. And that's a big portion right now. Medical alarms, a lot of the elderly people have medical alarms. A lot of them are false activations. We cannot charge for those. That's against the law. Structure fires, we go, but we cannot charge for those either. And a lot of mental health calls, most of them are put us in danger, so a lot of goes to the police to transport because we don't have handcuffs in the back of the ambulance. So that, I did that today and it's 140 calls and that's.
You know, and none of the stuff you just mentioned you can ignore.
No.
I mean,
No,
I wouldn't
you
ignore
can't.
it. I mean, if somebody falling or needs help to get in bed or,
I mean,
I
somebody,
mean, it's just
and
something
then you
you
could get
do, yeah.
a regular call for a fall, and you may get there and they say, I don't wanna go to the hospital. You can't bill for that either, because
I
that's,
mean, we've been on where a cat has activated the alarm, you know, and stuff, but you still can't ignore it.
no, because it could be,
And
it
you know,
could be
it's
something,
gas,
right, yeah.
gas and paid staff.
So, like I said, that's about 25% of our income right there. Donations are down about $11,000. Our donations letters went out. We spent a fortune to send these letters out in the post office.
They're investigating it.
Investigating, but there was a few postal people that didn't want to deliver the letters. So we got over 1,200 of those back. Nothing went to Putnam. There's several people in the town of Ticonderoga that didn't get a donation letter either.
Is the postmaster giving you some time element when they're gonna get back to you?
Yeah, they're supposed to be calling me back next week.
But that's $600 worth of stamps.
No, it's,
You said 1,200?
yeah, about 1,258 cents a piece.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that you can't recoup.
Right.
Well,
So we usually
one would
raise
hope
about,
that- I was gonna say, one would hope that the postal service would retransmit those letters.
that's what we're hoping, but like we said, last year we got back 500 because we sent too many letters and they didn't stamp them, they didn't postmark them all.
Cancel.
So we got those back and we could use them again. This year, they just sent them all to Albany and they were all postmarked, so we could not reuse them at all. So that's, we only, we bring in about $20,000, $24,000 in donation letters, because we do it once a year, and we're at probably about 10,000, 12,000 right now. And so we are down there as well. You know, we want to continue to provide, you know, highest quality care that we're doing. I think we're doing an excellent job. I mean, we have made a huge turnaround. I mean, we have no drop calls. We use Lamoille when we need to, you know, for ALS or our second calls if we can't get out. We're using the county medic card as well, you know, if we don't have ALS available, or if we need backup. There's been several times where we've had 2 patients. So basically, you know, that's, you know, the budget is, for the payroll, is up a little bit due to, I feel that we need to give a raise to our people to keep them there. We would like to hire another ALS person. And do you have anything else, Josh, or if you guys have any other questions?
And you may not be able to answer this question because it's not probably maybe your purview, but with the hospital starting to do its own transport, is that having a negative effect on Lamoille's ability to be here as well? Because I know that for a while they were doing quite a bit of transports as well, and that kind of got into your transport funds or revenue. So I just wonder how it's affecting them and if they're still considering being viable in the area.
Josh can probably.
There's, it kind of hurt like a little bit, but because they don't really have a full staff yet for the E-Town ambulance, so it's down here, I think, like 1 day a week. And
So they're not here full-time?
no, they're not here full-time,
Because
and
there used to be at one time, right? They had a full-time staff, or well, at least one ambulance here all the time.
the hospital you're talking about, or the one?
Yeah, you guys are talking
One
about-
ambulance here that they had.
No, the hospital, they don't have, like, I think they have like maybe 3 or 4 people, but the problem is like, if they come down and they go on a transport, and then there's another one, that's when the boy will come back in and take it.
Yeah.
But also, their hours are like crazy, like maybe daytime hours, we call them. So at nighttime, they're solely relying on Lamoille and Thai Hospital and E-Town. So, and I can tell you, because I do work for Lamoille, we are busy, especially with both facilities.
Yeah.
Is the hospital planning on putting a full staff? I mean, or more than 1 day a week, or what?
They've talked about it and stuff, but I mean,
They
they're
can't
trying
get the
to
staffing
get
just
staff.
like the rest
Can't
of
find
us.
Same
the staffing
thing.
just like.
Same thing you're against?
Yes, yeah.
So I guess their goal would be to have that if they had the proper staff levels.
Yes.
So we still, you know, we still have our volunteers that we have, and they're still doing 400 hours a month, filling in the holes. So it's not like we don't have volunteers, but,
Yeah, for the most part, the paid staff is the
you know,
volunteers.
we're getting tired, obviously, like everybody else, but, so it's not like we don't have any volunteers right now. You know, they're still supplementing, you know, wherever we need it. So we're not paid 24/7, but we do have coverage 24/7, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
How many paid employees do you have now?
11.
11?
Yep.
Are those all shifts, is that the idea or not?
Yeah, we have, so I'm on during the day, and then I have one person with me or just a driver that's paid. And then we have the night shift, so we have like just day shift and then night shift. We kind of did away with the 3 to 11. So, you know, like I get off at 6 o'clock, somebody will come on at 6 and work until 8 a.m. the next morning to try to cut down a little bit.
So I understand that obviously the EMS business is different than other businesses, but it sounds to me like because the ambulance or the hospital is throwing in an ambulance at least part-time to do the transports, you got Lamoille that's picking up obviously some 911 calls plus some transports, and you have yourselves. Do we have too many services in Ticonderoga? And I mean, that comes down to a market thing, right? Is there not enough market to support everybody that's presently here? And if that's the case, would it make sense to try to look at combining some services, maybe between yourselves and Lamoille or something like that? I don't know, I just don't know.
Well, we're a non-for-profit and they're for-profit
Right.
organization, and they're based out of Vermont, so they could, you know, I'm not gonna bash them for any reason, but they could be gone tomorrow, you know? I mean, you can correct me.
I'm
if
just
I'm wrong.
asking in general, it sounds to me like,
I think the transports are never gonna go away, I think that's gonna continue like nonstop, honestly. Hospitals are full all the time, I mean, hospitals are full right now, and you wouldn't think that they would be, but
Right now, Lemoyle doesn't have the staffing either to do 911 calls. They don't have, I mean, they're doing the transports and they're busy, but they don't have the staffing. There's times when, they're supposed to be covering Crown Point because they have a contract with them, they go to mutual aid for Crown Point also. I don't know how you can combine a not-for-profit and a profit type of service.
Well, I'm just trying to, wasn't my point. What I was trying to do is determine if there's simply too many services and there's not enough to go around for everybody. I guess that's kind of not, if the pie's been carved up a little too small, I guess that's my question.
in my opinion, no, but
No, I don't think so.
I think it's necessary to have that, especially in this area.
It is pretty tough to not slice that pie up if you're year after year after year not able to break even. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at financially, right?
Mhm.
That's kind of that's the concern, right?
Do we know why ECH went into the business of transport, just to cut their own costs, or?
I do believe that's why,
Yes.
yeah. They started the transport program and also they have their own helicopter. So,
It's everybody trying to make up for,
for the lost revenue.
Mhm.
What do you see the future of EMS as being less volunteer and really going to more paid staff?
There's no doubt it's all going to be.
I said 5 years, 2 years ago, that we'd be fully paid. I think we're on our 3rd year now. I don't see any way around it. I mean, the ones that are volunteering now, I don't think are gonna go away, but, I mean, a lot of us are.
Yeah, you'll probably always have volunteers at
Yeah.
some level, but, I mean, to effectively run
Yeah.
an organization without going into the red, I think you have to have.
Right now, every day, we have at least one paid person on.
Yeah.
Are you servicing another community besides ours?
We cover Putnam,
Putnam?
and we're gonna actually go to visit them as well, to discuss.
Especially considering the distance.
Yeah, plus our calls increased down there a lot this year, so,
Who's covering Hague then?
Lemoyne.
Long-
Okay, also.
Hey, guys.
They has their own, but Lemoyne,
Like, they're having worse problems.
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I know that.
But you guys still do mutual aid.
Yeah, also.
Yeah, we go to Schoon Lake, we've been to Schoon Lake,
They gone.
Skeensboro, we go to Skeensboro.
Ski, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, we go to Whitehall, we go
Yeah.
everywhere. We've been to Screen Lake quite a few times, actually.
That's interesting.
One of the things I'd asked Dave about was, some of the surrounding communities, the half-formed districts, what does it look like for their costs and the cost per resident or the cost per 1,000 residents or whatever. I was just,
I gave that.
Yep.
he gave me some information on that. As you may know or may not know, I don't know, an EMS district, like I said, similar to a fire district, that they propose their own budget every year, submit it to the town. Very similar to Chilson Fire. You just take the budget, you collect the levy for it. You don't contest the budget or you don't modify the budget. It is what it is.
That's what the town will do.
So that is one aspect. They form their own commission. The town would actually appoint the commissioners in this case.
How does revenue work on that side of things? Because unlike a fire department, they would still be able to bill for insurances and stuff.
Yeah,
so
then
they
whatever we-
offset their
That
budget.
is different that way, yeah.
Because now you got residents, and I can hear this, I'm paying my taxes to have a
Yeah.
EMS district, and then they show up at my house, and now I get billed for it, because they're billing my insurance for a call, so.
And so I listened to a pitch by an attorney that they had give some information. And in all in those regards, as far as billing, the town could actually do the billing. I said, we don't have the time to do our own billing, or much less EMS billing. But there is more town involvement in an EMS district than a fire district.
so what the difference is, so let's just throw $500,000 out, and I'm not saying that's what, if we recover from billing $250,000. That's subtracted from that $500,000. And then the town, it's almost delayed, like a year. So the following year, that $250,000 that we recovered from billing would be subtracted from that $500,000. And then your tax base or levy, I'm not really sure how.
So year one, it would basically be the full budget.
Right.
And then year two, it would be
Right,
something less.
right, right.
So you
So,
fund the first full year.
You'd almost carry that money over.
Carry that
above
one.
Right.
Right.
so that's what, I mean, it wouldn't be, yes, it would be $500,000, like I said, I'm just throwing that number out. But through billing, if we can maybe get some more staffing, maybe we can convince the hospital to throw more transports our way. Unfortunately, we don't have the staffing right now, and they're not calling us anyways. And we've reached out to the hospital, and they wanted a set schedule for transports. And last year, basically, our who was doing our transports were our volunteers. And they're slowly, fading away and stuff like that. So we don't have the people volunteering as many hours, let's say, as they did last year. But anyways, it wouldn't really be $500,000 every year or $600 or whatever. It would depend on our billing. And if you could get the insurance companies pay more, pay the full amount, we could bill $1,000 and we might get 50. That's it. So it's hard to do a budget because you don't know what you're going to get. So we just do an average of, like 3 years. The last 3 years we've received this amount of money in our billing, and then go from there. So it's hard to figure out how things are going, and
I know with the billing process, I know if people are paying it in their taxes, yes, we will still bill, but we'd only take what the insurance pays. If there's a balance, we don't hard bill, we don't go after them for that amount. And if for some reason.
Are you doing that now?
yes.
And if for some reason, I can think of at least 10 people that have come to me and, their loved one died unexpectedly and they have a balance of $600 or something. And, we either, if they want to work out a payment plan, we would do it. Or, we say, don't worry about it because they have enough to worry about at that time.
So we have some serious issues to discuss regarding EMS. It's almost, and I don't mean to be rude about this, it's almost beneficial that we can't form a district this year with a $500,000 input, because as you'll hear later in the meeting, if you want to stick around for it, inflation is up 7.17% this year, 3 times higher than last year. This town and other municipalities are going to have a difficult time remaining within the tax cap. And this would just exacerbate that. So it's going to be challenging enough should we decide what level of funding we want to provide, or whatever, for EMS this fiscal year. That's still going to push hard with some of the other budget asks and requirements that we do have to do for this fiscal year, or the upcoming fiscal year. So we have some serious discussions to have.
Yeah. When we were at the discussions, was it 2 years ago, we had somebody in from the county, I think. You guys remember who came in? We had discussions with them. And we had a couple of Zoom calls with some other folks just to kind of get us educated on what our needs, what our town needs are, what we really need to have in town. I think we need to have those discussions because forming a district's a big deal for the taxpayer, especially if you're looking at what's your budget for next year. Just assuming we had it to go on.
Just assuming it's $300,000.
300,000, that's your total budget, would be your total ask,
That would be our total ask from,
if you were a district.
well, do you add So,
Because we would have to fund your entire budget because we wouldn't get revenues back for the year. So what's your total expense budget?
571,000.
So it would be a $571,000 budget item and going forward. And that's whether that's this year or the next fiscal year, plus it could be more next year. That's a big ask for the taxpayers to swallow for a year.
So I sit on the EMS meeting in the county every month. It might be a good idea to have Bryce come down or something like that. And they've gone to other communities to discuss their needs and how to best meet their needs. It might be a good idea for all of us to, in one of the budget meetings, just sit down
Yeah,
and tell them where we are, and,
yeah.
what options or avenues are out there to help in this situation. We're not the only
I was
community
just gonna
that's
say, we're
had
not
this
the only
issue.
one.
Right, I'm sure. Is there any opportunity for any grants out there that you guys are aware of?
We,
Payroll-wise, we haven't found any grants, but we've been trying,
for anything that we need, we've been, trying, like
right.
a stretcher, we've been getting a grant to get that stretcher, and we don't have to use it out of our fund balance. I did send a spreadsheet that I've been working on. I sent that to the three of you, because I don't have anybody else's email. And you can see we're right where we are right now,
One of the issues is maybe getting people trained, right? To, people that want to go through or afford the training and spend the time for training. There might want to look at some dollars through the state for training, because the state does offer some
Yeah, but
grants
EMS
for
is not
training.
considered essential in New York State.
And I know that they have to be essential. I know you can get training for different businesses for staff of any kind if you're looking to increase your staff, which sounds like you are looking to potentially increase your staff. You can get some dollars for training new staff. You might want to look at the SBC for that.
So life saving is not considered essential by the state of New York.
It's
No.
not stuff. Makes sense.
Awesome.
Good to know, right?
Yeah. Fire, yes.
Next time you fall a little forward. Okay, I would ask you guys to remain flexible. We have, tonight I'm gonna put resolutions for at least 5 budget workshops. At one of those, we might be able to arrange a discussion with the county and you guys to come in. We can discuss this further.
Just keep us informed and
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Okay. You guys have anything else for us?
I don't think so.
All right, we'll keep you informed. I appreciate you coming in,
Okay.
giving us some of the stats and information. It's very helpful.
See, now it's want to raise the tax,
I
keep the taxpayers
I
raised.
totally understand, but
But there's 5,000 people here, and sooner or later, you're all gonna get to write to you guys.
But I would think this board does consider life-saving and essential.
I would
Yeah,
say
yeah.
yes.
No, I mean,
Unlike the state.
really, it's 5 to 700
Exactly, I was
calls
just
a
gonna say
year.
that.
Sooner or later, we're all gonna be in the back of that ambulance.
Yeah, speak for yourself, I really know.
I'd ride with any of them except him.
We're gonna meet too many times.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
That's what I heard.
And everyone is zero and I've spoken twice in my own life.
Okay, next is Public Works. Quick here, we do have, minutes are attached, meeting was on August 30th. Most of the discussion involved around the Black Point Pump Station, New York State Utility Moratorium, which has ended, and as well as some EDU adjustments, some of which we'll discuss tonight. Excuse me. And with that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resolutions here. The first one is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to approve work change directive number 6, which is project number 4394, the Portage Street Utility Reconstruction. This change involves modifying the design of Appliance Street storm and sanitary sewers to connect existing lines from Battery Street through private property to Defiance Street. This is a $60,350.68, but it is not an additional cost. It's just a moving money around from general allowance. I will move that.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. The next one is a resolution to change the billing of 361 Baldwin Road, David Bruce, to 1 EDU water, 1 EDU sewer, 1 O&M sewer, and 1 debt sewer. Property is now a single-family home. This was forwarded by the committee, the Public Works Committee. I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Resolution to change billing of 2248 New York State Route 74, Ticonderoga, to a vacant lot fee of .10 EDU. Water at the home has been removed from the property.
I move it.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. And a resolution to change the billing of 16 Lake House Way, Joseph Sinsally, to 1 EDU sewer, 1 O&M sewer, and 1 debt sewer. There's no longer a rental apartment on the property.
Where is Lake House Way?
I don't know.
Never heard of
I can bring it up on Google.
it.
I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And a resolution to change the billing of 3 Stoughton Drive, Robert Missile Hitchcock Trust, to 1 EDU water, 1 O&M water, 1 EDU sewer, and 1 O&M sewer is now listed as a single-family home. Need a motion?
I move it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. And I think that's all I have from Public Works, and we'll move to youth.
We didn't meet. We didn't meet in August.
No meeting?
No.
So nothing to discuss.
Other than the fact
Can
that,
you discuss anything?
well, I can just say that Sean did a good job of running the summer program. I think he said he had very often 20 to 30 kids participating. He offered a variety of activities. I heard them yelling and screaming one day when they were having the water balloons, so I know they were having a good time. And he's now in the middle of, and the beach went well this summer, I think. And we lost our 2 most mature guards because one was going back to college and the other one had to report to work. And so we had 3 of our younger guards who agreed to stay on so our beach could stay open until Labor Day.
Yeah, got it open till Labor Day.
My
which is-
hands are
which
off
is
to
great.
them because it's been a long time since we've been open that long.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm hoping that they will be returning next year because I think they're doing a good job.
Seniors, Tom, you have anything there?
I don't. I was unable to attend their last meeting. I don't know that they had one. I have not seen any minutes from them, so I don't have anything to offer.
Gotta get over there and get their budget information.
Yeah.
Okay, health insurance, I don't have anything to report. I'm still waiting for the latest insurance rate updates, which are gonna be,
The other should be fall.
we'll work it into the budget process, so that's fun. Contract negotiations, I will say that we've had 2 meetings internally now with our labor relations consultant. One was just this afternoon. We're getting ready to head into negotiations with the 3 unions, and I'll keep everyone apprised of how that goes. Let's see, cable, I do not have a copy of the cable thing.
There's 2 of them, that's in your packet.
Let's see what thrilling cable announcements we have this.
I have a television announcement. Football starts in 45 minutes.
Right. Good to know. Duly noted, as I used to be
Oh,
told.
well. Tell them not to schedule on Thursday.
I hear you. Let's see. Effective August 1st, Black News Channel located on Spectrum Channel 232 or 176 is rebranded to the Griot and channel lineup serving your community. And on and around October 1st, 2022, NBCU will cease programming on the Olympic Channel. I didn't know there was an Olympic Channel. On channel 316 on the channel lineup, Spectrum is also making its customers aware that on or around October 3rd, 2022, TV 1000 Russian Keno guide will be updated to reflect accurate programming schedules on channels 1621 and 2670 on the channel lineup. And then notice that on or around October 3rd, 2022, Spectrum will launch Caracol Television in HD on channel 856, so you all have that to look forward to. And with that, we will get into regular resolutions. The first set of resolutions here is authorizing the creation of new accounts. I will not read them all. You can see these are a bunch of project accounts. This is for the creation of new project H68, the Black Point HVAC 5099. And I need a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next set, resolution authorizing the following budget transfers. First set here is to fund under budgeted general accounts from contingency. The balance after contingency will, for the transfer will be $63,276.64. That's cost of $1,251.20 for assessor, $62 programs for the aging drug screening, $76.15 refuse and garbage, and $10.52 for cemeteries. Next set is funds under budgeted highway account from contingency. The balance thereafter from contingency would be $9,035.68, and those are from contingency $500, and that goes to machinery, highway, equipment rental. And then the next grouping here is to transfer funds to cover unbudgeted accounts until those are paid. And that is from highway road materials, in the amount of $13,343.63 to improvement highway road materials. And for all of that, I will need a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, none opposed. Okay, next set. Authorizing the following budget adjustments. First grouping here is to fund accounts from, by the general fund balance to cover increased fuel costs, like we haven't seen that being a problem this year. Building heating oil, $162.66. Police and constable propane, $31.64. Garage guide diesel gas, $12,236.99. Programs for the aging motor fuel, $955.51. Community beautification motor fuel, $1,011.59, and cemeteries motor fuel, $76.37. Next grouping is to fund accounts in the general balance to handle the low-income housing water assistance program grant, and that is in the amount of $324.52. One of our residents benefits from that program. And then the final set here is the funding accounts by highway fund balance to cover increased fuel costs once again, and that is in the amount of $2,526.07. And for all of that, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Anyone jump on once?
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Opposed. Next group, resolution authorizing the following interfund transfers, and we have $2,016.57 from the general interfund to Chosen Eagle Lake, and this is to transfer funds from the general to the Eagle Lake Water Project. The next set here is to transfer funds from sewer to the Black Point HVAC project that I mentioned earlier. And that is in the amount of $1,776.75. And for all of that, I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And this, excuse me, final group here, a resolution authorizing the following interfund loans again. First set is to transfer funds from highway to the Veterans Road Culvert Bridge Project, and that is in the amount of $122,988.87. Next grouping here is to transfer funds from Central Water to lead service line replacement until funding is received. That is in the amount of $36,332.92.
I'll move it.
And wait, don't want to approve.
Got one?
You're anxious, and I appreciate that.
Write that down.
Next is transfer funds for Central Water Lead Service. To transfer funds from general to the airport apron project, and that is in the amount of $1,083.56. Go for it, Dave.
Yeah. I'll move it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Sorry. We have two prepaid resolutions here. The first one is a resolution to authorize the prepayment of the school tax bill for Putnam for our town beach in the amount of $1,984.86. The bill that we got was received after we closed the abstract. We don't want to get charged late penalties, so I'll move that one.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me. The other one is the resolution to authorize the prepayment of the school tax bill for Ticonderoga for 6 Carnegie Place in the amount of $526.28 for the same reason.
I'll move it.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right, Joyce, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
So
That's
carried.
the library property.
Yes, it is. Resolution authorizing the supervisor to issue a letter of support for a pride of Ticonderoga grant application to the New York State Homes and Community Renewal Program. I will move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution authorizing the supervisor to expend $8,000 in American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funding for the Chilson Community Founders Association Incorporated to cover this not-for-profit organization's lost revenue due to the COVID pandemic. Excuse me. This is some of the first ARPA money that we actually are starting to spend. There are other applications that have applied the money to, but we haven't gotten to the point where we have anything that we can invoice yet. So this is the first one. This is the purpose, the original purpose of the ARPA money was to fund organizations that were impacted by COVID. I will move this one.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on this
What was the total amount of the ARPA funds?
one? We got 200 and some odd thousand the first round. Excuse me. And another approximately, it ended up around 400 some odd $1,000 in funding both from federal and the county money.
And we earmarked some of that for Chilson Eagle Lake. I don't know if we're going to use it, right?
We earmarked, it won't make a difference in what we need to do. Excuse me, for Chilson and Eagle Lake, it really won't impact it at all. We could use it for anything we like. One of the things was a generator for the community building to sustain operations. But there's a list of items. $400,000 won't do anything for Chilson and Eagle Lake, most likely. And what we're
I
moving
think it was the one time to be used for some additional engineering services and things like that.
Yes, we could do it for that.
I just didn't know if we'd already spent that, I guess that's my question.
Some of that, the initial ARPA money that was used was done for the map planning report,
Right.
which was done. The other thing about using municipal money is we couldn't use that to do any kind of engineering or construction because there's no district there.
Right.
And you can't use municipal money if you don't have a district. And as far as that subject goes, as you know, we're looking at different avenues of support there now, which would still need federal or state money to support, but looking at more applications such as individuals or shared wells and using surface water from Eagle Lake and a bunch of other options for the people who actually do need the help. But I mean, this is like one of the first real applications that we've had to use the money. Okay, so we finished that one, right, Tanya?
Right, all in favor?
is,
We still need an all in favor, I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. The next one is a resolution to set up the, schedule the following budget workshops for any of the lawful business. I've coordinated some of the times, or all the times, for all of you. Some of you can make some of the meetings, some of you can't. Just make what you can. The first one is for September 14th, 2022 at 8 a.m., September 15th, 2022 at 8 a.m., September 21st, 2022 at 9 a.m., September 23rd, 2022 at 8 a.m., and September 27th, 2022 at 1 p.m. So I will move that.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. And opposed, so carried. So this next one, I mentioned this earlier with EMS. We're currently looking at a 7.17% inflation rate. Tax cap remains at 2%. Three times higher than what the rate was in last year. A lot of municipalities are going to be looking at possibly not staying within the tax cap. Right now, our budget information isn't sufficient. We don't have everything in order to see where we even sit right now. We're also in the middle of labor negotiations, so a lot of the rates and dollar amounts that go with that, we're not known yet. We'll probably have to go into the budget cycle, making some assumptions, just adding percentages for things like labor rates for unions and things like that, unless we get better information, which doesn't help the situation at all. So what the county has stated is that those municipalities that think they may not be able to make the tax cap should plan early. And part of that planning is to introduce a local law at some point, excuse me, local law to override the tax cap. Not something we're looking to do tonight. And to schedule a public hearing to discuss that, which we'll do for the next month. Whatever, if you get to the situation where you look like you're going to exceed the tax cap, this has to be approved before you do the adopted budget, or else it just creates a whole new world of pain. So what I have here is a resolution introducing proposed law number, whatever we end up numbering it, 2022, entitled "A Local Law to Override the Tax Levy Limit Established in General Municipal Law, Section 3C," and scheduling a public hearing regarding the proposed local law 2022 for October 13th at 6 p.m. Again, it is not our goal to exceed the tax cap. We want to stay away from that at all possible, and we'll know better later on as we proceed through the budget cycle where we're actually looking. But a lot of municipalities are going to have some issues here staying within the tax cap.
So this is just insurance, a safety thing.
It is the first steps that we have to take so that we're prepared. Yeah. And so I will move that one.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. I have a resolution here to pay the abstract.
I'll move it.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to accept the supervisor's report as submitted.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Discussion on the Kissing Bridge. You all saw the email that I got randomly from a supposed structural engineer. Was concerned with what he saw in the Kissing Bridge, rust. I don't know if anyone knows that individual or has heard of him before. I have not. He was just visiting. And I was talking in the museum, the Carrington Museum, and reported. For prudence, we may want to have one of our AS engineers just look and see what this individual saw. And I can contact AES and see if they have a proposal for us to do that.
Seems like we have to do it because.
Yeah, we
it's
can't
raised
ignore it.
a red
Can't
flag
ignore
We
over it.
can't ignore it. We've been basically put on notice for all intents and purposes that it's been cited, so we need to do our own review assessment, have an engineer look at it and come up with their proposal to.
Yeah, I agree.
I wasn't sure what part of the bridge he was talking about.
And neither was I.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
why we probably just want to have an engineer, structural engineer look over the whole thing.
The whole thing, yeah.
Because it used to be just a flat bridge. on the big
Yes, we'll
house.
just play that
Yeah.
crossing, yeah. Okay, I will take care of that. Honey, do you have anything?
No.
And we have no attorney tonight, so. Any public comment?
Yeah. I'm here again in regards to Champion Alley.
Okay.
I went down the other day and mowed it again, took care of it again. The, both sides of the pavement now have fencing from the neighbors on the town property. The one neighbor to the south that had posted signs on his on town property are now moved closer to the pavement than what they were previously. So now the town, there's posted signs approximately 20 feet on the town property on one side. The fencing is more than, or around 20 feet on one side and probably 10 or 15 feet on the other side. I know several months ago I was told you were going to do nothing, basically, with it, just use it.
Well, the town
That's-
has sent the residents there on both sides a letter
Okay.
stating that they're to not encroach on town property and that anything that is on town property, other than the garage, obviously,
Right.
could either for them to remove it or that the town would remove it. I did have a conversation with the individual who's got the signs. He was not opposed to moving the signs, but just so you know, the town has issued notice to the property owners that they cannot encroach.
Thank you. That resolves
You know,
what it came from.
I mean,
So that's definitely.
let me know what you think.
What's that?
That's the next step, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, if it's taken care of, I mean, if that's,
If you see other, what you would term as violations, you know, just let us know.
Was there a time limit on those letters?
There was no time limit, it was just, don't do it, take care of it. If we see it, we'll take care of it.
the only reason I brought the most recent up is because it's just been in the last couple of weeks that they moved further towards the basement.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Anyone else? Andre, you have anything?
No.
Just here to listen to the fun?
Take a lot of notes.
Enjoying every minute of it.
Okay.
Before we end, I do have to go into an executive session to discuss a personnel issue, and then I'll let you all go.
Before we do that though, and something that occurred to me, I wanted to circle back to the paver thing. Do we know how much we spend annually on a paver now to rent one? About?
He can probably calculate, I think,
Just want to try to get a cash payback on
did you say it
what
was
we
like
spend.
17,000 a month?
Yeah, they were spending like, before we got a paper, before we started renting a paper, we used to have Peckham, and they used to be like $8,000-10,000 a day.
Yeah.
You know, so that's when we decided to rent the paper, and then Sal started doing these side roads and stuff to learn how to do it. Now they got it perfected, now they're doing all the roads, so.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job.
Oh, yeah.
I know one of the issues.
So they're not hiring an outside service to pave any of the roads anymore?
No,
No, they do it themselves.
They're doing,
They
because
generate
last
it.
year they had Peckham do some roads.
But now they learn how to use it.
They're doing their own. I'm just trying to get an idea for cash payback. Do you think it's
Yeah.
about 17, 30 grand a year?
yeah.
Yeah.
30 grand a year, something like that? So at 235, divided by 30,000. 8 years payback, cash payback, not counting any maintenance and
Probably,
other issues.
probably what we would do is put that into the asset management.
We're spending that, plus he has to truck it back and forth.
Right.
We have to
Yeah,
pay.
there was a trailer cost too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they already have their own trailer.
They used to use my trailer to take it back and go get it and stuff.
Good question.
Is he looking to buy a new one or a used one?
Yeah, I was
This
just
one.
gonna say-
He wants to buy the one that they're using
It's
now,
only
it's
10 years old. He gets the same one every year.
But it'll all come down to what he gets for
For both
with
of
the
those.
yeah.
Okay. All right, just it's something that occurred to me, I didn't think of it.
No, that's a
I
good
just wanted to
question.
see if there was a cash payback analysis that had been done on
Yeah.
rent versus purchase, because normally you kind of look at a cash payback sometime between 5 and 6 years. This is,
You know, but you have to look at it also, if we're not using
Right.
it, we don't want that's money saved.
Does that make
that's absolutely,
That's hard to figure.
Something that's concerning me now that we're finally getting the new sidewalks down is, what's gonna be done to them during the winter time? Are we gonna solve those? I hope we're not gonna solve the sidewalks.
We have a solution, they come up with it, they've got a new solution they should put on 3 or 4 days after. It's pretty expensive, but Sal's gonna do that.
So otherwise-
After it cures, it takes 7 days to cure. So you put this on after and it protects against the salt.
Because I know the school waited a year before they used any salt when they had all that fancy.
I got all that stuff right on my phone.
Okay, because I got thinking about it, thought about the high school.
They told us
outfit.
that last year, Carrera has a new. in
Well, that's
Sal's.
good, that's good.
You spray it on, they think they said 4 or 5 days after.
We'll see.
Because that sidewalk plow
Yeah, rainstorm.
sometimes is erratic in what it puts out too, so.
Does anyone have anything else before I move this resolution?
No.
All right, I'll move a resolution to enter into executive session, to discuss a personnel issue. I'll move it. Take it.
second,
Yeah.
All in favor?
I,
So carried. Thank you.
Want these doors closed or what?
Oh, good.